In the latest episode of Ready to Love, Tommy decides to add two new people to the mix, thus giving the season 20 people. And while they cause some minor friction, none of them do anything to change who's likely to be eliminated next for both the men and the women. So, as for who these new people are, it's Katarina, who is 34 and an RN turned beauty entrepreneur, and also Christopher, who is also 34 and owns a security company with his family. When it comes to these two, like most people come in during the middle of the journey or the process, they're welcomed. They definitely, well, as we've kind of noted thus far with this season, nobody seems like a sure thing right now. So people are still getting to know each other, still trying to make matches. So it's not like they like drastically throw off people's top or whatever. Right now, it's very clear that Janelle and Christopher have a lot in common since they went to the same high school and grew up in the same area and have other similarities. And that could complicate things for Red since Janelle is one of the top people we've seen him with. As for Katarina, she's attracting a lot of attention and people like Kira are a little bit jealous, but at the same time, Kira makes it very clear that she's not trying to make any kind of girlfriends on this show. She's trying to find a man, so Katarina's competition and potentially can't evolve much beyond that. But it isn't just adding new people that is what Tommy does to kind of shake things up a little bit. Tommy also decides in this episode to decide who goes on a date with who. And for a lot of people, he brings up good matches, but one date that he comes up with, which is between Philip, Tequila, and Sierra, it doesn't go well. I mean, let me back up. In the beginning, Philip and Tequila, despite some of the issues at the mixer, they seem to be getting along a little bit. There's no major issues between them, but then once Sierra gets involved, Tequila decides to bring up that whole issue that they have in the mixer, and she even decides to take it further and make it sound like Philip is holding a grudge against her, that he doesn't have any type of compassion or forgiveness. And mind you, this is in front of Sierra, who doesn't know Philip that well. So in a way, Tequila is kind of poisoning the waters a little bit. And it puts Philip on defense to the point where he's done. He's tried to make amends and all that, but she's now just crossed the line to the point of no return. And it seems because of that, as well as making the other guys kind of uncomfortable, because it seems that she's very jealous and insecure with how the process works in terms of men talking to other people, she ends up in the bottom two. And joining her in the bottom two is Unique, and the reason Unique gets into the bottom two, beyond of course the whole Red situation with calling him a thought, or rather saying he has a thought job, she also kind of rubs Christopher the wrong way with how she talks about how she operates and even some of the baggage that she has from her past marriage. So this leaves some of the men thinking that maybe she's not ready to love, but ultimately, because Tequila pissed off too many people and she has no defenders, she's the one that gets kicked off. And to my surprise, even though we saw how she acted in that lounge when it came to Habibi, she is tight-lipped and just exit. Now, that's how she leaves now, but there's always the idea that when it comes to the reunion show, and they're showing clips and everything, and Tommy's asking questions or people throwing accusations, I believe we'll get that same Tequila who was ready to get buck with Janelle, but hopefully I'm wrong. So, in terms of predictions, for the men, I think it's going to be Marvin and Red at the bottom, and for Marvin, I think one of the things that's going to kind of mess with his potential of staying on the show is that he wants to have a slowed down life and wants to live on an island. So I think Virgin Islands was the one he said. And based off of what Kira said, even though that's probably not the best person to base everything on, I can't really imagine most of the women who, granted, going to the islands for vacation is fine, but living there, raising their kids there, I can't imagine that, even though a lot of them kind of see themselves as country girls, because being a country girl and being an island girl is two way different things, and I just don't see that for them. And on top of that, I think the eroticism when it comes to Marvin's life still is very much a sticking point, and I don't think most of the women, I still don't think most of the women have really gotten past that. Like, even in terms of the lust part of it, like we saw with Unique, I think maybe for a good time they may enjoy or like Marvin, but for like a long time, that's probably not on board. Now, as for why Red's probably gonna be in the bottom two, unfortunately, I think that Red, while he's in the mix, he's definitely no one's top. And on top of that, while it was cute when Janelle was being a little possessive and shady, I don't think Red can get away with that. For Red, between him and Unique, based on the previews, going back and forth again, on top of maybe him showing sometimes some type of jealousy, that's going to do him in. But between Marvin and Red, I think Marvin is more likely to get eliminated just because the woman may not take him seriously because of what he does for a living, and high key, them probably being more conservative than they let on. Switching over to the women, I think Kara's definitely going to be in the bottom two, but it's very hard to say who may join her. I feel like most of the ladies haven't really shown any glaring red flags yet, and right now only Kara, between her gossiping and jealousy, has really shown anything that could be taken the wrong way. And granted, Janelle, mostly in confessionals, has also been a little messy, but because she's not doing that in front of the men, she's not doing that in front of the women, and that could potentially get to the men, she seems safe. So with that in mind, I definitely think Kara's gonna be the next one out, but if I was to fathom anybody that could be in the bottom with her, a part of me still wants to say Sierra, just because I feel like Sierra hasn't really opened up enough. But when I say that, I can say that pretty much about any woman on this season. So right now, firmly, Kara's probably the next one out. Which leads to who the final three couples could be, and I still haven't changed from believing that Janelle and Quentin are going to make it to the end. The only question is with who, and the bigger question is, are they going to last past the reunion show? Because rather consistently, when it comes to Ready to Love, yeah, you may be within the final three couples, but a lot of people either switch to different people once we get to the reunion, or by the reunion, the relationship is over, and it seems like once the competition was done, so was any type of love, maybe even lust, or any type of light between two cast members. So getting to the review, I have to admit, I appreciate that Tequila exited gracefully, and that's just because, again, with how she acted in the lounge when the men were to be eliminated, I fully expected her to do or say something. And then when you add on that Quentin, of all people, was the one that said that she was not ready to love. Again, there was just this idea that y'all trying to set her up to do something. But she held back, exited tight-lipped, and while I do feel like those lips are going to loosen up at the reunion show, I don't know how far she may go. Whether she's going to start airing out people's side conversations that she may have had with the men, who knows, but I feel like she's biding her time so that she has a bigger audience. As for the next topic, it's an on-the-fence topic, and that's just adding people to the process, even if we're still very early in it. And I understand that nobody wants a straightforward show where it's like, here's a set of people, let's just keep drawing them down. Throwing new people in keeps things interesting. It makes people be on their toes, and I get the idea behind it. But the problem is that Katrina and Christopher seem like such good cast members that it makes me wonder, why did you have a BB then? Why did you have Brandon, who has 4 kids and just recently divorced from someone he's been with for over 10 years? Why do you have someone like Tequila, who, based off of her recent actions, is not somebody who's really meant for a show like this, where you have to compete and be aware of that the person that you like is dating other people? In my mind, having Christopher and Katarina come in, and then you see the type of people that got eliminated, is just like, in the casting process, why did you even have those other people here then? And I just wish that when it came to this show, they would just find new ways to try to add an entertainment value to it, because I get the end goal is having free couples, but getting to that goal means they want to provide entertainment to viewers. And as much as, some episodes like with Janelle, when she's going in on people, it's entertaining, and you could also see her dating, and that's the relationship aspect that we expect. And, it's supposed to be a little bit aspirational in some ways, or inspirational. Probably is the wrong word. Either way, point is, it's still teeter-tottering, sometimes too far to the left, too far to the right, and I don't think that we may ever get the balance so that this can be the show that not only gives you hope, but also gives you a good laugh or a thank God that's not me situation. Overall, I really hate the fact that Ready to Love is still very much relying on, albeit simple gimmicks, but still gimmicks at all, to try to really bring something to the table. But as I think we said with a past season review or something like that, it's hard to not face the fact that Ready to Love doesn't have any real competition. No one else is really having an all-black dating show, so where else are you going to go for something like this? It's sort of like WWE. Yes, there probably is another all-black dating show out there, but they're the AEW or Ring of Honor to this WWE brand, where unless you really are about this type of niche, you probably won't know that they exist. And unfortunately, that gives Ready to Love a lot of leeway to sometimes seem like it's not really making the type of effort it should be.